What's up, y'all? It's your girl, C. Alexandra, and this is the first episode of season one for See the Media. I'm super excited to be joining with you all today. So, basically, today we're talking all about basically showing grace to yourself, okay? And basically striving for consistency in a world focused on perfection. Now, I know this is something that you all can probably relate to since we're all, part of a social media filled world where you gotta look perfect, you gotta act perfect. You can't show your issues, your problems. Of course, some people are trying to change that, but of course, we have, you know, especially I hate to say Instagram, but I feel like Instagram is like the ringleader of it all. But everyone is so focused on perfection. So I'm gonna show y'all today how I stay consistent and how you should stay consistent rather than focusing on perfection. So really quick, I just want to say thank you so much for all the support so far. See, the media started last year during the pandemic. It's a pandemic, baby. Um, as you know, a lot of creativity was born during this time. I'm super excited to be able to bring this platform to you all because, it's so important for us to be able to see all sides of the media. For too long, our media focus, we only got our news from certain the top news stations, right, which can become problematic because if they're simply pushing out the same narrative across the board, of course we're going to keep getting the same story, right? So I am happy that social media is out, and I hate to say sometimes we do have citizen journalists who do not know what they're talking about, but I am happy that there are people making platforms that are truly showing you the real. You know what I'm saying? What's really going on in this world. But I think what See the Media is, how we stand out is we don't just talk about the gossip, or we don't just talk about like the superficial things. You know what I'm saying? Not saying no shade to any other platforms, but I want us to talk about different things that, I do want to talk about, the gossip. Of course, that's funny, but I do want to make sure we're talking about real political topics, or, real just situations that people don't talk about, like mental health and um, just I want to change the narrative of the media industry. There's platforms that I've been looking up to since I was young, and I just feel like they could have done so much more, you know what I'm saying, especially for the Black community. So, this is See the Media. I'm super glad to be joining you all, and yeah, be on the lookout for more. So, let's talk about current news, right? So, I do want to say I'm very disappointed right now, and I hate to start it on a bad note, but I think that's where I feel the most compelled to talk about. But if you are not aware, the Georgia Board of Education has decided to take uh, race critical theory out of the school system. Now, of course, there's some people who are probably happy about this, who are probably like, oh my goodness, thank goodness we don't have to talk about this anymore. America's not racist. Oh my gosh, it was so long ago, right? Of course, you're going to have people like that, but we have to be completely honest. I think that's problematic. And I'm actually surprised that more people are not talking about it, because I think removing that information out of the school system will cause um, a generation where someone could say it never happened. You know what I'm saying? And contrary to popular belief, I believe African Americans built this country. You know what I'm saying? So yes, did our start just come from slavery? No, but this, the Atlantic slave trade was such a huge part of America. You know what I'm saying? It was slaves, cotton, tobacco, um, and so on. Those were like the main, oh, and sugarcane. Look, I paid attention to school, but anyways, those were the main forms of currency back, in the beginning of America's prime. And so, Black people like myself, our ancestors, they were the backbone of this country, and they still are today. You know what I'm saying? We dominate in so many areas, you know what I'm saying? Not just in entertainment anymore. We are dominating across the board. There's more Black doctors, there's more Black engineers. You know what I'm saying? We are a powerful people, and to take this out of the school system is so problematic to me because it's allowing us to be silenced. You know what I'm saying? Do I feel like I remember growing up in, when I was younger, I remember growing up in, being in grade school, and of course you'd be in social studies or American history, and of course these topics would come up, and I do remember being singled out. You know what I'm saying? And it's not so much I was embarrassed, it was the way the teacher taught it. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's the issue. It's not taking it out of the school system, it's simply the way it's being taught. You know what I'm saying? Instead of saying that these people were simply, excuse me, instead of saying these people are simply, they were evil, they something was wrong with them. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just remember being in grade school, and I think the main problem was the way race critical theory was taught. No African American student, especially young, a young, fragile mind. And I hate to say fragile, but it's just those are the years where you're a sponge. You know what I'm saying? You soak up so much. You have to be really careful the way teach things, because it can cause an imprint to stay on that child's mind. You know what I'm saying? Not to mention, I just remember, I grew up in more of a predominantly Caucasian area, and being one of the very few Black people in my class, I sometimes I was singled out, you know what I'm saying? Or the way we would speak on certain topics, it was problematic, you know what I'm saying? It made others in the class who, you know, um, whose ancestors may have been a part of, the other side to the Atlantic slave trade, it made them feel superior because of the way it was taught. Does that make sense? Like, instead of us teaching our children, like, this happened and this was wrong, and kind of showing a respect to the people that, you know, um, that basically built this country. I think instead of making it seem like people that I guess did control the government back then, just showing like they had so much power. You know what I'm saying? I think it's just so many problems when it comes to critical race theory, and I just really hope that this can be reversed. I think it's very problematic, and I hate that some children will probably grow up and not, fully understand our history. But I guess it's up to up to us adults who, are the next, will give birth to the next generation, and it's up to us to teach them, the truth, and not to make them militant, not to make them hate others. That's not what it's about. It's just to know what happened. You know what I'm saying? That's important. I'm so glad my parents educated me. You know what I'm saying? Because it made me realize that, regardless of people want to admit it or not, the Black race is behind. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not gonna put it all on others, but we have to be completely honest. Like, you know what I'm saying? If someone, let's say it's a relay race, right? And someone gets a 10-minute start, or shoot, a 10-minute start or whatever. I'm talking about not just a relay race, but I'm talking about if someone's allowed to lap you twice and then you just start, it's gonna be harder to catch up. You know what I'm saying? And I know people are like, oh well, it's so long ago, get over it. At this point it's our fault. It's no, I'm not going for it. You know why? Because they have, and it comes down to reparations. And this is how I'm gonna end this situation. It comes down to realizing that their wealth is, it literally doubles ours. But you have to, and that's why it's so important that we talk about what happened, because people, they're quick to push this narrative like, oh, we depend on the government, or, we're some of our people are not as, wealthy, or, et cetera, et cetera. But if we're honest, a lot of their wealth was passed down, where we help build their wealth. Do you see the problem here? And so that's why I try to speak intelligently, but I'm actually very upset that something like this even happened. That's why it's so important to vote. That's why it's so important to realize, or to make sure you're doing your research on these government officials that are put into office, because you know I'm gonna be real with you. Some people are they want to get rid of what happened. You know what I'm saying? It's just not fair. It's like, okay, well, if we're gonna do that, then take all of it out. Don't talk about anybody's. Take out the. Talk about. Let's stop talking about how the Pilgrims escaped from Britain or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Let's talk about, or let's stop talking about. You know, what is it? World War II, and how basically the Jewish, went through mass genocide, with the German. Let's just stop talking about all of it. Let's just stop talking about history altogether, since it doesn't matter, right? I just think it's very it's sad that somehow our race is the one that's targeted the most, and they keep trying to erase us, and I'm not going for it anymore. And some people will argue and say it's not just white against black anymore. It's not. It's more of a class system. You know what I'm saying? People are more focused on who has more money over another or whatever. But we have to be honest. Racism is it's systemic racism. That's where we have migrated to, unfortunately. And if we don't acknowledge this, it will continue to show up. There are still people out there that do not want the best for us as a people, who do not see us as equal. And at this point, I want to be treated equally. Yes, has our race come a long way? Yes, but there's still so much work to be done. The wealth gap is ridiculous. You all owe us our reparations. And that's what a lot of people don't like to talk about. That's why they really don't want to talk about this 1619 project. That's why they don't want to talk about what truly happened, because we built this country. We built this country. We built this country. And every other race who helped y'all build this country got their reparations. But the main people who died as it's just so funny. Excuse me. The main people who blood, sweat, and tears literally went into this country, we have not gotten a dime for it. And they keep saying, oh, well, we don't know how to give them the money. They might spend the money on frivolous things. They may not invest their money or whatever. Well, you know what? I look at it like this. If you would have given our reparations when it was old, you wouldn't have had to worry about so many black people needing our reparations now. But, excuse me, I need my money. You know what I'm saying? I need my money, because that's why there's a wealth gap. Wealth gap, excuse me. Because of this same issue. They keep wanting to erase what happened so they don't have to pay the debt that is owed. And that's the issue to me. So I'm going to end it there, because I'm going to get emotional, because I just can't believe I'm even saying this. That literally our kids will grow up in a school system where history has been basically erased. Not saying that they can't get knowledge elsewhere. Shout out to Michelle and Barack Obama, who are creating a Netflix series to talk about how the government works for children. And, so it's going to be really up to us, the creatives, to make content for our kids to be able to learn, because now that it's being taken out of the school system, a lot of them can say it never happened. So I'm going to move on to another topic, but I just want to say that, it's really sad to me that in 2021, this is occurring. Very sad. I feel like we went backwards rather than forwards. But I'm going to end it there. So let's move on to a lighter topic, right? We have to talk about Meghan Markle and Prince Harry, who just welcomed a beautiful baby girl. And they basically named her after the beautiful Princess Diana. And I think that is so wonderful. Her full name is Lilibet Diana. But to be able, Diana was literally the epitome of grace. And, of course, she unfortunately suffered a tragic death, but as you can see, class lives on forever. And so I'm happy that um, they kind of showed their, I hate to say rebellion, but they showed their sentiments on the matter by, they're like, fine, you all don't want to accept us? Well, we're going to make sure Princess Diana's name lives on. So shout out to them for um, going against the status quo, because they are not going for how the royal family treated them, as you probably have heard in a recent interview with Miss Oprah Winfrey. And that was interesting to watch. But moving along, I also want to say the hot girl is back. Megan Thee Stallion, she is back in the flesh, I guess we can say. They had her hooked up to some machines. I guess she has a body double now. Just kidding, guys. That was for my conspiracy theorists. But anyways, she basically just came out today and told her, address her as Miss Snow. So it seems like the hot girl is back, but she is back as Miss Tina Snow. A lot of y'all, that honestly, y'all, I met Megan Thee Stallion, I think it was 2018, and the girl can spit. She really can, she can rap very well. And she has a great stage presence. And I wish her nothing but success. You know what I'm saying? I think, whoever's over her brand right now, they're super smart. They're like, okay, let's think longevity. Because a lot of these artists right now, I'm not saying they're not dropping hits, but some of the music is not, it's not as lasting as I would say the 2000s era was. But I'm glad that, it looks like Rock Nation and, her management is really kind of building her up, or kind of molding her into a star that can have some longevity in this career, because it's easy to just be not a one-hit wonder, because she got a couple of hits, but you know what I'm saying? It's easy to, so many artists are coming out now, it's easy to get replaced by somebody else. So I'm glad to see that she might be coming with some heat, or should I say some ice? I don't know. Uh, but yeah, the hot girl is back, Miss Tina Snow. So be on the lookout for that. We definitely need some hits for this summer to cool us down a little bit. So this is my last one. This is kind of like a mix of news and a hot topic. So look, apparently to push, the vaccination, our president has, I guess, formed this little movement where he wants to somehow partner with barbershops and beauty salons on pushing the vaccination.
We'll also be working with the Black Coalition Against COVID and other organizations to launch a new initiative called Shots at the Shop. Barbershops, beauty shops are hubs of activity and information in the Black and brown communities in particular, but in many communities across the nation. Local barbers, stylists, they become key advocates for vaccinations in their communities, offering information to customers, booking appointments for them, even using their own businesses as vaccination sites. We're going to work with shops across the country to make an even bigger impact over the next month.
I think that was very interesting. I'm someone who, I wouldn't say I'm necessarily against the vaccine. I think it's important to take care of your health and to, make sure that you do your research. But I also find it really strange that, this vaccination is being pushed so heavily. Now, of course, some people would be like, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. Oh, you're paranoid, whatever. I'm also a unmarried woman with, I don't have any children. And personally, of course, I've done my research, but I don't know how this vaccine will affect us, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now. So I'm being cautious. I definitely feel like getting the vaccine is important, but I don't. I think I'm struggling with the fact that it's being pushed so heavily. And this is coming from someone who is the daughter of someone who's been in pharmaceuticals for 30 plus years. So, don't think that I'm uneducated on the matter, or I simply just want to rebel. Like I'm seriously concerned um, you know, how this vaccine will turn out. The virus has not gone away. There's a lot of people that are still getting the virus even after taking the vaccination. Of course, that's pretty normal. Vaccinations do not cure anything, but I guess this vaccination is really it was made to basically make sure like it will kind of limit the chances of you having to be hospitalized after getting the virus or contracting the virus again. But I've seen people are still dying from the virus even after being vaccinated. So I'm just having a little bit of trouble, just seeing why there's being such a push on it. Of course, that is a small number of people. So I can see why people are like, okay, stop being conspiracy theorists, stop spreading misinformation. But I just think it's really important to make sure you do your own research. And we are in still the trial phase of the vaccination. So, you know, personally, I could see some people waiting until 2023, but now it seems like they're trying to kind of push it into the school system and the workplace, like kind of almost enforcing it. And I think that is illegal to me. You know what I'm saying? To basically say, oh, you can't work here unless you have a vaccination. Um, and of course, that establishment can do what they want, but I'm like, that's just problematic to me. You know what I'm saying? What are they going to do next? Force us to put chips in our arm? Like, I don't know. That's just how I see things. I feel like if 80% of the population is vaccinated, I don't feel like the full population needs to be vaccinated. But, of course, um, there's different theories on that as well. So I just encourage everyone to go ahead and do your research. I know I have, and I have my certain viewpoints on it. So just be careful out here. Don't let anyone push an agenda on you, regardless if that's in entertainment, politics, health, anything across the board. Okay, don't let it happen to you. So I also want to move into talking about, I want to get back to what we originally were talking about, showing grace to yourself and striving for consistency in a world focused on perfection. Okay, now this is so important because we are living in a world where literally every like people are posting their every accomplishment, and I am guilty. Okay, but look here, I'm not posting to brag, or at least I really try not to. Like I don't post to brag. I don't post to be like, oh, I'm better than you or whatever, because I know where I've come from. So it's like, to see myself at this point, I'm just proud of myself. You know what I'm saying? But I would say, if you want to know the tea, if you want to know the other side of things, follow me on Twitter. You know what I'm saying? Follow me on Twitter. Twitter's where it's at, because you can really speak your truth on there. Of course, I don't believe in everyone being in your business simply, but I think Instagram. There are some people migrating to being more real, if you want to call it, but it's still false. It's still fake to me, because I feel like Instagram has become this platform where it's like a giant mall. It's like, oh my gosh, listen to my story and then buy my book. Or it's like, I'm so sad. This happened to me. I need money for this. Or, I don't know how to explain it. It's very calculated. You know what I'm saying? It's everyone they're connecting, but it's like on false pretenses. It's fake. You know what I'm saying? And unfortunately, I feel like I fell victim to it, because I feel like I can't get off of it. Like, in order to stay relevant, you have to stay on these platforms, especially in my particular field. But that's why I started focusing on making sure I'm doing things outside of just social media. Like, you can get so caught up in this like fake world where you like start to have a false perception of reality. You know what I'm saying? So here's the thing, like the Matrix, that's real. Like you can really be in the sunken place. Like, you know what I'm saying? You have to be really careful with these platforms because, you know, people are so focused on the followers and the likes and the blue check marks and, but that's not really what I feel like social media should be about. I think it should be to inspire, but I think people should inspire by truly just being themselves. Like really, really going into like their purpose, really falling in line with alignment with oneself, just really being clear with their goals and, figuring out what part of their purpose, like, how are you helping the human race? You know what I'm saying? It's not always about getting money, it's not always about gaining followers and views. There's so much more to life. You know what I'm saying? Like, how are you making a difference in this world? And that's where it comes down to it for me. And I struggled with this for a while. I was trying to find a way, like, how can I speak to people and pour into them? But let me say this, I had to kind of fall back on this thing where I had to figure out who I was before I could help others. So I really encourage people, before you go out and, sell your book, or before you go out and tell people your story or speak on even a certain topic, make sure you fully understand yourself and fully understand what you're talking about before you talk about it. Because the worst thing you can do is mislead people and not even really own, or not even really live that life yourself, if that makes sense. So I encourage you all to do the hard work and look inward as well, and kind of see, where you fall short on the table, and make sure you're being your best self so you can help the others around you. Because remember, your purpose is tied to someone else's purpose. And when you start to think like that, you won't just make it about you. So I think social media is great because it allows you to see other perspectives, not just mainstream media, but you have to be careful not to fall victim to the matrix and get so caught up in this false sense of reality, like, oh, I need a flashy car because they have one, and oh my gosh, they got this accomplishment, I'm a failure. Like, please don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's real life, people still go through stuff, like, you know what I'm saying? I just feel like some people don't feel comfortable sharing the bad things that occur in their life. And I understand, because I'm also one of those people. Now I'm at a place where I'm more healed. Of course, we're constantly healing, but I think I'm at a place where I don't mind sharing, different things that I went through, if it can help somebody else. You know what I'm saying? So I encourage you all to just really walk in your truth, and make sure that, when you're being real, make sure it's not some commercialized form of yourself. Like, really just be you. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's where people are getting tired of the social world. It's very commercialized. So just make sure you're not falling victim to it. Make sure you're not falling into this false sense of reality. Wake up. You know what I'm saying? Don't focus on perfection. Focus on consistency. And that's the main thing I wanted to touch on, because consistency outweighs perfection. Because perfection, it's not really a thing. The only person that's perfect is the Lord. You know what I'm saying? Perfection is just not attainable. What you should be focusing on is progress and consistency. So progress is looking at where you've come from and looking now, and it's like, wow, I've come a long way. If you're not progressing, then there's an issue. That's when you need to sit back and realize, like, okay, what am I doing wrong? There's something wrong with this picture. You get what I'm saying? So let's focus on progress. Consistency is a part of progress, because in order to progress, you have to keep going. And that's where a lot of people fall short. They have these wonderful ideas, they're creative, they have so much passion inside, but you know they're not consistent. And I've been that person, you know what I'm saying? So I'm glad to have a team around me who keeps me motivated, even when sometimes I'm like, bro, I just want to sleep. I'm having a bad day. I don't want to do anything. But I'm glad I have, people around me who are continuing to push me, when probably just on my own, I would just be like, okay, I'll get to it later. You know what I'm saying? That's what happens. You start saying, I'll get to it later. And then that later becomes a day, and then a week, and then a month. And you look up, it's been 6 months and you still haven't accomplished anything. So, what I would suggest is that I have a planner. Okay, this planner literally saves my life. I write down stuff I have to do every day. And it keeps me very organized. It keeps me very um, up to date with everything I have to do. And if I didn't have this planner, I really believe I would not be as successful as I am right now, because it really helps me keep it together. So, some people like their notes, some people like to plug it in their calendar on their phone. I'm a person who has to literally look at what I'm doing. I even have a calendar that I write physically, like the bigger things, just so my brain can like remember it. Yeah, so find the way you want to be consistent. For some people that might be waking up every morning at 6 o'clock, hitting the gym, meditating, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying meditating in a weird way. I'm just saying reflecting. When I meditate, I talk to God, and I read my Bible, and I read a devotion. You know what I'm saying? That's how I meditate. I also say affirmations to myself. Um, that's how I meditate every day. But everyone has a different form of meditation. But I believe that has helped me, put me in a better mental space in order to be able to create throughout the day, or tackle certain goals throughout the day. And this is gonna be weird, but another way to stay consistent is to rest. You know what I'm saying? You have to have a day where you just rest. If your body is tired, take that break, take a nap, or take you a couple days if you need to. But listen to your body, because if not, and I speak from experience, your body will be shut down on its own. If you may not shut it down, but it's like, okay, you go ahead and keep going. But when I'm tired, I'm gonna shut down. So don't let yourself get to that point, either mentally or physically. Mentally, burnout is real. I know me and my manager talk about this all the time. Burnout is real. Make sure you are taking breaks, especially if you're someone who is multifaceted like me, who's always on the go, who's always doing something. Make sure you're taking those breaks to really be alone with yourself, and um, you know pouring into yourself as well. That's very important for your spirit. And physically, you can get physically sick from not taking breaks. So make sure that you are, taking care of yourself, and sometimes taking care of yourself physically is resting. You know what I'm saying? So rest is so important. It helps you stay consistent. It helps you look forward to certain things. Like when I tell you I tackle my goals and then my off day comes, like I literally write off day, and I get so excited for that off day, because I was like, oh wow, I did all this week, and now I can rest. You know what I'm saying? So rest is such a big thing. Make sure that you're doing that. Working is not the answer. Even God rested. You know what I'm saying? So make sure you are resting, because you will not be your best self until you take that time for you. So that's where I'm at with everything. Yeah. And lastly, let's just end on a high note, showing grace to yourself. You know what I'm saying? We are not perfect beings. You know what I'm saying? We're going to struggle with consistency. We're going to struggle with progress. We're going to struggle with, sometimes having the courage to keep going. I know right now I'm in this weird space where sometimes I wake up and I'm like, are people even listening to me? Like, am I just talking to myself? Like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this again? Like, like, I literally, it's sad, but, as a human, sometimes we talk so negatively to ourselves, and we really have to be careful with that, because sometimes we don't even recognize it. You know what I'm saying? So make sure that, excuse me, make sure you are speaking positive things over your life. When you start hearing those negative thoughts, make sure you answer that voice, and you say, no, the Lord, the Lord wants this for me. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe you can reverse that by saying an affirmation like, I am a queen, or I am brilliant, or I am successful. Whatever you need in that moment to reverse that mentality that creeps up on us. And sometimes you can't control that voice, but I always say, when you start to have that voice, make sure that you take a break. Sometimes you do have to take a break, and it's not because let me see how to put it. It's like sometimes you just have to take a break. You have to rest your mind, and it kind of just goes back to rest. In order to really fully be your best self, you have to take that break. And yeah, that's pretty much where I'm going to end it. Showing grace to yourself is so important. We live in a generation or a world where, everyone is watching your every move. And, you know, we're living in a very fast pace, uh, a very past, oh my gosh, I can't talk. We're living in a very fast paced world where everything is just moving a mile a minute. Make sure you're taking that time to really process what you're doing, to process what's really going on in the world around you. Look outside of just the superficial aspect of the world. You know what I'm saying? Really, really think long term. Don't stay stuck in the future. Certainly don't stay stuck in your past, but make sure you're thinking forward. And that's how you can help. Um, that's how you can stay consistent. And that's how you end up progressing. But the best way to show grace to yourself is to forgive yourself. Forgive yourself from, things that you've done, things that you've gone through, and forgive others. You know what I'm saying? Forgiveness is such a big thing that people don't talk about enough. Until you let that hurt go, and I know you've heard that term, you will not progress because you are holding on to energy that needs to be released. So make sure you are showing grace to yourself. And part of showing grace to yourself, it's really annoying. I struggle with this for a long time. But showing grace to yourself is actually also showing grace to others. Because the reason why sometimes we're so judgmental to ourselves is because we're judgmental to others. Reasons why sometimes we're so, um, we may speak or, speak negatively towards other people, or just be kind of like in this mean and negative space because that's how we talk to ourselves. So be careful. The way we treat others is truly the way you treat yourself. So focus on treating yourself better, and through that, making sure that you're pouring into other individuals, and it will start to reflect on your own life. Of course, we're not perfect. We're going to have moments where we have attitudes where we're going to not want to do it. Like I said, take a break. Take a break. We're human. But that's all I got for today. Thank you so much, y'all, for tuning in to See the Media. I always have a great time talking to you all, pouring into you all. And I'm really excited about this platform. And I hope, if it's not just one person or two people that take away something, I'm just happy that someone can get something out of this. So if this message resonated with you, or you want to talk about any of the hot topics or the news that I discussed today, be sure to, hit me up, DM me. My DMs are open. I actually want to start a platform where I start answering your questions. So feel free to ask me a question and I will answer it in the show platform of See the Media. So, yes, y'all, that is pretty much all I have for today. Thank you so much for tuning in to See the Media. Once again, I'm your host, Alexandra, and I really hope you could take something away from this message. I dropped a lot of different information today, and I just hope that through it all, you can learn something and take it with you throughout the week. But yeah, I look forward to speaking with you all, and y'all have a blessed week. Bye.